I'm so glad you're here because we are going to talk about what is truth. People get so mixed up about what this is. They don't really understand truth. People will talk about, well, I like oranges and you don't, so that's my truth. You have your truth. You have different religious beliefs and I have different religious beliefs, so we have a different truth. No, that's not how it works. Truth is truth. So let me help you understand what that looks like. Truth is when you are aligned with fact or reality. Not your reality, not my reality. We don't have all these different realities that are truth. We have a lot of different realities, but that's not what is truth. Truth is what is actual fact. It is actual reality. And the minute you change your story from your reality, which is basically the stories we tell ourselves all day long, every day, that's your reality. When you change that story from your reality to the truth, everything in your life will change. Your business will change. You will start to become more successful. You'll start to wonder why all of these opportunities are coming your way. You will have a different perception in your personal life. You'll start to notice that your personal life, you're finding more joy, you're finding more success. In your relationships, you're going to notice a massive difference. In your mindset and your limiting beliefs those will start to shed themselves and your mindset will be different. And you will start to understand why people who are successful in any area of their life, I don't care if it's business, I don't care if it's personal life, you're going to start to understand why they think the way they think and how they do it and why it's actually so much easier than the stories you're telling yourself and what you're telling yourself that is not true. Here, let me give you an abstract analogy. Tony Robbins, when he's talking about finances and giving and making sure that you give a portion of everything you make to share and to donate and to help other people, he says, if you won't give 10 cents out of a dollar, you certainly won't give $100,000 out of $1 million. Your unwillingness to share and to give spreads across all of your finances. And it's the same with your character. It's the same with your integrity. If you are not willing to recognize truth and acknowledge what is truth, that spreads across all of your life. It spreads all across your character, and it changes the way you interact with people, the way you interact with yourself, the way you interact in your relationships. It changes the way that you run your business, the things that you believe you can do in your business and in your life, and what you do with your free time. So what exactly is truth? Truth is when you are in alignment with fact and reality. What you think and what you believe is actually in alignment with what is actually fact, with what is actually reality, not your reality, not someone else's reality. So if everybody believes they have their own truth, how do you even identify what really is the truth? Because if you think what you believe is the truth, and I think what I believe is the truth, then it gets confusing, and we want to be understanding. We want to be accepting of other people and their beliefs. What exactly does that mean? Let me help you understand it in a way that Jody Hildebrandt helped me understand it. This was a powerful explanation. If I were to tell you that I'm hot and you were to tell me that you're cold, we're in the same room together, I'm hot, you're cold. Is that true? That's true for you and it's true for me. But that's not truth, because truth is not something that changes. When you know that it's truth, when it's something that is an absolute, it's definite. It can't be changed because of somebody's feelings, because of what they think, okay? So the truth is, it might be 72 degrees in here. 72 degrees is the truth. But at 72 degrees, I might feel hot, you feel cold. So you see what's happening here? I'm taking my feelings, I feel my beliefs and saying that it's the truth. The truth is, it is actually 72 degrees. The truth can be identified as a fact, and it can be identified by a third party. So that's how you identify what is truth. I am not good enough. That's not a truth, because that isn't identifiable as a fact by a third party. That's just something you believe. It's something you feel. So that's not truth. That might be the reality that you believe, but that's not truth. We are going to talk about two specific things today that will help you understand truth, help you learn how to recognize it in your life, and it will change the way you interact with yourself, with other people, with the thoughts you think, and the blame, the assumptions, all the things that you believed were true. This is going to start helping you change your life. The first thing we're going to talk about is the 3 biggest mistakes people make about the truth that affect their business, their life, their relationships, their mindset, all of those things. The second thing we're going to talk about is 3 things you can do to invite truth into your life that will make a difference starting now. The 3 biggest mistakes people make about truth. Number 1, they pretend like it's the truth when it's not. It is not the truth, and you know it, and yet you keep acting like, oh no, that's what I thought, or I did that because I thought she wouldn't mind. You kind of knew the person would mind. You knew they would mind, but you did it anyway, and you told yourself, oh, she won't mind, so that you could feel better about what is going on and about the choice that you made. So stop pretending like it's the truth. Stop calling it an honest mistake. We know that an honest mistake means I didn't really mean to do it. It was an accident. Maybe I wasn't thinking clearly, but come on, we know what happens. A lot of times we kind of use that as an excuse. We go, okay, well, it was an honest mistake. Well, I didn't think they would mind. Well, you kind of knew they would mind. You knew that person would mind that you borrowed the car without asking, or you knew that they might mind, but you did it anyway. Or your parents, oh, well, I thought they wouldn't care because they were out of town for the weekend. I didn't think they would care. You know what? That's not an honest mistake. Deep down, you knew you had an uncomfortable feeling that maybe they would mind, or maybe it won't be okay, but you didn't want to deal with the emotion. And so you did it anyway, but then you tell yourself, well, it was an honest mistake. You know, you kind of pretend like that was the truth. It's not the truth, and stop calling it that. And sometimes we have gone so far down that path, pretending like we think that's the truth, that what happens is to even stop and go, wow, I was lying to myself. It's almost like you can't even recognize it. So if at first you're thinking, no, I never do that. I already know you're in a place where you need to stop and really try to be aware of times when you do that, because we all do it. It's actually a human action that we take, but we need to recognize it. And even when you get really good at it, you'll still struggle with doing it, but it'll be a lot easier. When you recognize it, you can stop and go, oh, I'm doing that thing again. And now you can decide what choice you want to make. When you don't even recognize it, this is what happens. You make the choice, you keep making the next choice and the next choice. And it was all based on a lie. It was based on something that was not really truth. And now you're having consequences from something that doesn't even fit what your values are. And you're wondering why your life is turning out this way, and why these things are happening to me, and why are all these good things happening to someone else and not to me. This is why. This is where it starts. So first of all, stop pretending like it's truth when it's not, because we tend to look around at other people and we see what they're doing in a situation and we go, oh, that's what everyone's doing. Okay, I'll go ahead and do that. I'll give you an example. I just ran in the Disney World's marathon weekend. I did the half marathon. So we were running in the half marathon, my son and I, Tyler, and we're getting near the end, and you're getting tired and you're starting to feel like, boom, I did this. Like, I'm pretty cool. Okay, I'm almost done. I've completed it, because you never know. You could get an injury and you're not able to finish. Doesn't matter how hard you train. And so here we are near the end of the race. And there's this place where there's a speaker super loud for all the runners. And there are so many runners that the entire time you're running with a crowd. Because I took videos, there were people way ahead of you and people way behind you filling up the entire track. There were thousands and thousands of people. Not the time to try to earn your best time, your best record, but it was one of the most beautiful, wonderful marathon experiences I have ever had. And I've done a few different types of races. It was so much fun. Disney made it amazing. So here we are running along this road, and we get to a point where there are these big old speakers, and they're saying, warning, sharp turn ahead, warning, sharp turn ahead. So you're looking, okay, what's going on? Because, mostly you're following the road. Well, you get to this place where now it's time to turn back toward Epcot Center, and you're running along. And in order for all these people not to converge at the wrong place, they have all these cones, and they're spaced a little bit apart. So you have these cones going like this along the normal route, and then you have to do this sharp turn to the right, and almost go back a little bit the direction you were going to curve onto the other road. So here are all these cones all in a row, and then there's a point at which the last cone is. And so you are running, and now you've got to get around that last cone, and now there's another set of cones going like this. And so we're running along, and a couple of people ran through maybe 2 cones. took maybe 2 steps off of their race, right? And so then people, you could tell people were making comments, oh, you cheater, oh, you went through there, it was all kind of in fun. But some of the comments, you could tell that people were starting to think, oh, is it okay to go through the cones? Oh, I guess I can go through the cones. Now, for me, I don't know that I did this out of integrity. I like to think I did this out of integrity, but I don't know that that's the case, because for me, I have to finish something that I started. I have to finish it. So when I'm golfing, for example, you know how people will just kind of give you a gimme, where that means that if you're right at the hole, you are this far away and everybody knows, you just tap it in and it's going to go in, and they call it a gimme. And you just get to go take your gimme. That means you can pick up your ball. You don't actually have to hit it in the hole, and now you can go on your way. Okay, I cannot do a gimme. I can't do it. I cannot do it. It would be like, my whole soul, I can't do it, because, and it's not necessarily integrity, it's just that I have to finish. I can't feel like I didn't finish. I did all this work. I hit all these balls, and I finally get to the point where I'm at the end, and now I get to hit it in, and guess what? Now I don't hit it in, like for real. I am not going to do that. So that for me was one of those moments. So my son knows this, Tyler knows this. So he's totally teasing me. He's like, Mom, let's just skip the one cone. And, you know, like instead of going around that final last cone, which is about this far from the other cone, this far. And he says, let's skip the last cone. And he really said it because he's trying to get a rise out of me, because I'm like, I immediately, my whole body kind of went, I'm like, no. And he started laughing because I couldn't do that. But what we need to do is work on making those choices because it's out of integrity. No, that is the route of the race. You have committed that you're going to run this race. You're going to get a medal saying that you completed this race. So you need to run the race and finish the race the way they set it up, because that's what you're getting a medal for. So I want you to think about the times when you're pretending like it's not the truth. I was reading in Psychology Today, and they were talking about what authors describe as, they call it the theory of bounded ethicality. And what they are proposing, the thought process that they're going through, is that when a society fails to differentiate clearly between honest and dishonest, so you can't tell what really is the truth anymore and what is my reality, your reality, is basically what they're saying. When a society fails to do this, fails to be able to tell the difference, what that means is they now become unable to judge the moral repercussions of their own behavior. So for example, let's say I have a child and I'm raising them up, and I don't believe in honest and dishonest. So I am completely blurring those lines for this child. And they never really learn the difference between what is honest or what is truth and what is whatever I want to believe or whatever I want to feel or whatever I want to think. If I raise a child that way, you can just imagine, you already can imagine the repercussions for that child and the kind of life that child will have. They will not understand how to have healthy relationships. They'll wonder why other people don't interact well with them, why they don't have any friends. They'll wonder why they're constantly in trouble at school. They'll wonder why their business is never successful. They never can find business partners who want to work with them. This is why. So in Psychology Today, they proceeded to talk about how when there are periods of time, for example, let's say that there is a political campaign and the political leaders are so deceptive that you become so used to hearing an elected official saying things that are not true, that your own sense of what is a lie changes. And all of a sudden, what the truth is becomes more unclear, and it becomes confusing. And the entire society starts to suffer because that is the example that all of the people are seeing. It is extremely important that you understand the difference between truth and what I will call distortion. Now you can see why it becomes extremely important that you understand the difference between what is true and what is not, and why it matters that you recognize whether me saying that I'm hot is a feeling. You might think, well, that doesn't seem like even a big deal. It's a really big deal. Now let's go to the second biggest mistake people make about the truth. They believe other people who pretend like it's the truth. So just because it's someone you admire, just because it's a person in a position of authority, is not a good reason to believe what they are saying is truth. You need to figure out for yourself what is truth and start to recognize truth. And all of a sudden, it becomes easier to recognize those who are pretending. And P.S., that means for you, you'll start to recognize when you are pretending. I catch myself, I have been learning about these things for years and practicing them and getting better at them. And sometimes I feel like, man, I'm getting pretty good at this. There are still times, probably every day, where I think, nah, stop, Teresa, you're starting to go down that road. That's not true. Oh, my husband must be mad at me. No, stop it. You don't know if he's that's you're worried. It's a feeling that you're having. Okay. So don't believe other people who pretend like it's the truth. The third biggest mistake you make about the truth is telling yourself lies about you. The stories you tell yourself that are not true. I'm not good enough in this way. I'm not skinny enough. I'm not big enough. I'm too skinny. I'm too impatient. I'm too this. I'm too that. How many things do we tell ourselves over and over every day? It is time to stop. It's time to stop the lies that we tell ourselves, because the lies you tell yourself are hindering your growth. They are keeping you stuck. They are stopping you from moving forward in the direction you need to go to fulfill your own dream and to fulfill what you were put here to do. So stop lying to yourself about yourself. Now we've got a problem. It is so easy to have all these half-truths and things that aren't true and lies and all these things in our life that are not real. They're not reality. They're just our feelings. They're our thoughts. They're stories we've been telling ourselves. So how do we change that? I'm going to give you 3 things that you can do starting now that will immediately change the way you think and help you start going. It'll be like a submarine, but submarines can get pretty darn quick, but it won't be like you'll change immediately, but it can be pretty darn fast. So do not give up hope. The first thing that you need to do is you need to acknowledge when it's not the truth. So if one of the biggest mistakes you make is pretending like something is the truth when it's not, the most important thing you can do is stop doing that. Stop doing that. What you need to do is acknowledge when it's not the truth. Just like what I just described. If I'm thinking, oh my gosh, my sister's going to be so mad because I didn't give her notice about whatever. Stop it. No, you don't know. You don't know if she's going to be mad. Maybe she will. I think she might be. And in the end, if she is, well, then my guess was correct. But remember, it was a guess. It was a total guess. And don't worry, we're going to have some other videos where we talk about boundaries, setting boundaries so that whatever they think or feel or what they're going through doesn't need to be our responsibility. And we'll talk about that. So just if you want to see the videos that we're putting out, I want you to subscribe to my channel. Make sure that you hit the notification bell, because we're going to be talking about these things and we're going to get real and we're going to get dirty and we're going to figure it out. And I'm going to teach you things that are going to change your life. So the first thing is acknowledge when it's not the truth. The second thing I want you to do, that is of the 3 most important things you can do, is to understand the difference between truth and I'm going to call it distortion. Because the opposite of truth, people will call it false. Some people call it untruth. Some people call it inaccurate or dishonest or fiction, deceit. There are a lot of different words that people use. Incorrect. People will use all these words. But I heard Jody Hildebrandt teaching. She's a therapist and she's an educator, and she called it distortion. The reason I like that word is because let me tell you what distortion is. Distortion is actually the act of twisting. Now, notice act is an action word. This isn't just passive, doing nothing. Distortion is the act of twisting or altering something out of its true, natural, or original state. What that means, there was something true. It was the original state. That's the way it really was. And there was an act, usually by us, because it's affecting our life. Other people do it too, but we're not worried about them. We're worried about what we're doing. It's the act of twisting or altering that truth out of its original state. That's why I like the word distortion. As I was trying to decide what word I wanted to use, I was looking up definitions of different words. And let me tell you something else that came up about distortion. Distortion is a falsified reproduction. So remember, it's falsified reproduction of an audio or video signal. Now, they use the words audio and video, but we have tactile, we have smell, we have so many ways that we experience the world. And guess what? I might smell a smell and I say, ooh, that stinks, that's disgusting. And I'll promise you, there are people who will smell that same smell and go, Oh my goodness, I love that smell. Let me give you an example. I love the smell of gasoline. It's so gross. It's gross that I even like that. I think it's because, and I'm pretty sure it's because I associate it with family vacations. Our family, we had 13 kids. I have 12 brothers and sisters, a lot of kids in our family. We barely fit in the car that we had. When we went on vacation, it was one of those old fashioned station wagons with the wood paneling on the side that kind of has come back into style. But back then it was so not in style. So this was our family car, and it had in the very back, for those of you who've seen those, they had the little flip up chairs. So the back was the trunk. And if you're getting the back, you could climb over the back seat, or you could open up the back of the trunk of the car. And there are two little lids on the floor. You could open them up, and they were two little seats for little kids. So usually about 4 to 6 of the little kids had to sit in the very back, the youngest ones. And so, of course, they didn't have seatbelts in. So, we weren't worried about stuff like that. So we would all go in this car, and we didn't really get to take vacations. Nowadays, I see people going to Tahiti, they're going to Hawaii, they're going on all these trips. The only real vacations we ever took were to go see grandma and grandpa. And that was a big deal because now we needed gas money and we didn't have a lot of money. So that was really hard. So those were really special. We were so squished. And I remember when our 3 boys, we had 3 boys, I wanted a ton of kids, and they were just about a year apart because I was planning to have a ton of kids, and then we weren't able to have more, some health stuff. So we couldn't have more kids. We had three boys. And I can remember when we finally got a van. We got a minivan, and because an SUV was so expensive. So we got this minivan, and we were in the van going on a vacation with 5 people, and it seats, I think, 9. And I remember if they complained, I can promise you right now, I was not the sympathetic mother. I was not the mother who felt sorry for you that you didn't have a lot of space, or that you were trying to do something in the van and your brother was kind of getting in your way. I was not that sympathetic mother, because I had the stories of walking uphill both ways in the snow. So that was me. So when my family was all piled into this car and we were going on vacation, when we would stop at the gas station, there's a certain smell of the gas. And that was the smell that I remembered that associates for me going on vacation with my family. So that was a very, very special thing for me. And so I love that smell. I smell it and I want to just go, oh, but I know it's so bad for my lungs. So I don't. And I have to tell myself, no, don't just breathe it in. It's not good. But I have an absolutely positive association with the smell of gas. Now, how many of you do not have a positive association with the smell of gas? I can guarantee you a lot of you don't. I'm the anomaly. So that is my truth, but it's not the truth. There is a difference, and you need to start recognizing the difference. The third thing that I want you to start doing right now, it's kind of an oxymoron because I want you to start doing it, but it's a stop doing it. I want you to stop spiraling in distortion. Now, let me tell you what that looks like. Oh, I'm so bad at my job. Oh, they're going to be so mad at me. Oh, he's going to think this. Oh, they're just trying to do this. Oh, they just think whatever it is that you are telling yourself. My neighbor has it out for me. I'll never be good enough for my mom. Stop the spiraling. You want to know why? Because the spiral reinforces the distortion. The minute you believe that first lie, oh, my neighbor has it out for me. Oh, see, look, they send their dogs over to my yard to do you know what? The spiral reinforces the distortion. And by the time you're to the end of the story, you've already told yourself 10, 15, 20, 30 separate lies that led you to the conclusion you came up with. And then that conclusion is leading to your decision. Now you are going to make a decision based on a bunch of lies. And that's not how you want to be living your life. Do you know why the spiral starts? The spiral starts because you are uncomfortable with a feeling that you are dealing with. You feel something, or you start to feel something, and you don't like it. It's uncomfortable. And so you start going to the distortion. You know what? I know it's hard to work hard. It's hard to stop yourself and try to recognize when you're out, when you're in distortion, when you're telling yourself things that aren't true. It's hard to do this in a relationship when you feel like the other person isn't working on it and you feel like some of the stuff is their fault. It's hard to stop blaming. It's hard to work really hard. It's hard to set healthy boundaries. All of these things are hard, but you want to know what's harder than that? What's harder than that is thinking you're never worthy, thinking you're not good enough, thinking you don't do your job well enough, assuming that other people are thinking bad things about you, assuming that the haters out there all hate you. Stop it. Stop it. Because you don't need to do that. And you don't need to live your life that way. It is easier to work on these things and start to feel the freedom that it brings into your life. Stop distorting the truth because you feel uncomfortable and you don't want to deal with that feeling. Stop it. You got this. You can totally do it. There are so many voices in the world right now telling us it's time to think differently. It's time to take our blinders off. It's time to invite new perspectives. It's time to accept everyone. But you know what? I've got a problem with that. You want to know why? Because just thinking different isn't enough. Don't just think different. Be different.